Hello, my name is Jason, and I'd like to welcome you to this tutorial on how to build your own small portable gaming system on a breadboard. This gaming system is based on an open source game system called the Arduboy, and at the center it has an Arduino. It uses a small OLED for graphics, and then there's just some buttons and a little buzzer. So I'll start up this game. So this was created by a member of the community. It's a small clone, well, not really a clone, it's kind of inspired by The Legend of Zelda. I can defeat some enemies, throw my boomerang at them. Alright, so I don't want to spend too much time playing, so I'm going to jump right into how to make your own. So we're going to disconnect power here, and then I just need to pull off this Arduino board. And we're going to get a new breadboard. Also pull off the screen. Alright, so to get started, you're going to want to take the screen, line it up with pin 15 on the bottom of the upper section of pins, and then you're going to line up your Arduino with pin 27, leaving 3 gaps on the top and 2 on the bottom. So on 27, like that. Alright, so to get started wiring this up, we're just going to connect power and ground. So for my screen, I need a 5-volt signal, and I'll hook up 5 volts to power. And my ground signal, I'll hook up to the blue ground rail. Now, I want to access these pins over on the other side for powering the screen, so I'm actually going to connect up my power and ground signals across the board like this. And this will just make it so that I can access these power and ground signals from either side of the board as I need to. So then to power up the screen, we'll connect VCC is the voltage you need for the screen, and then ground and GND is ground, so I'll connect that to, make sure you do it right. This is supposed to go into there, ground and power. The next signal is clock, and so for clock, SCK is for the clock signal down here. So hook that up. I'm going to just put one here. This is the farthest rightmost pin on the bottom side, and then connect that to the 3rd pin on the display. Then next signal is MOSI, and that's our data signal, and that's going to connect to this MO pin on the 1st pin in our Arduino on the top. Use just a little bit longer wire for this one connection, if that's okay. Alright, next we're going to connect up our reset signal. And the reset signal is going to go over here to 6. Data pin 6 right here. Then next we're going to hook up our DC to 4. And then finally we have our CS chip select signal, and that goes to digital pin 12. And with that, we should already be able to drive the screen. So let's connect power back up and see if we got a screen working. And there we go. We can see that we already have that screen, the opening screen from the game we were playing before. Okay, now I'm going to need to take a step back for a second, because I did a little bit of TV magic, starting with a done board and showing the demo of me playing it, and then I pulled off the Arduino and the screen and started fresh. And so if you've been following along and you got this all wired up and you hooked up power, very likely this is doing nothing right now because you didn't program your Arduino first. I needed it programmed so I could do the little demo. So now we're going to go through and show you how to program it. So to program things in your Arduino, you need to look up the Arduino IDE, and IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment, and so this is where you can write code and then compile it and upload it to your Arduino. So you just need to select your platform, run the installer, and the first time that you open up the Arduino IDE, it should look like this. Almost a blank window. It shows you somewhere you can write some setups code and loop. We're not going to be doing a detailed programming tutorial here, but we are going to go into the File menu and go into one of the examples that's included in the IDE. So under Examples, go to Basics and Blink, and it'll always open new projects and new windows, so you can have multiple things open at the same time. So to upload this program called Blink, you need to select a board up here, and it should just have one thing for the one board you have plugged into your computer, and you can go ahead and click this arrow to upload it. So at the top of this program, it describes what it's doing a little bit. There is an onboard LED in the Arduino, and this program is just going to turn it on and off at some interval. So you can see there that it's blinking, but let's confirm for a second that we actually made it do that. So if we go down to where it has loop, it's doing something called digital write to LED built in, and it's sending a signal of high and low, and then between those there's just a delay of 1,000. So this delay is in milliseconds. So if we delete a 0 out of here, make it 100, that should make it blink faster. So you can just click the arrow to upload it again, and now it blinks a little bit while it's uploading, but then it'll immediately start running your program, and now you can see that it's blinking rapidly. Okay, so this is how you normally upload things to an Arduino, and I thought I could do the same process to upload an Arduboy game when I had the stuff wired up like this. And unfortunately, there's one extra step you have to do, but the people in the Arduboy community have actually made it really easy, but you just have to learn the process a little bit. But I'm going to go through and show you what happens if you do the thing that I did naively, trying to upload it like this. So to find the game that I used, I just looked up Arduboy Zelda to try to find a Zelda-inspired game for the Arduboy. And I found this Ardinia game created by Matt. And you actually can play these games in the web browser. They have this little simulator, so using the arrow keys and A and S, you can click on this little widget, and then you can play the games in the browser, but it is also cool to see them running on the real hardware that you wire together. So I'm going to go down to here and click on this link. It says it's available now, grab it here, and this will link you to GitHub. He links to this releases page, but he actually doesn't have any formal releases. But if you go up to the name of the project, Ardinia, it'll bring you back to the main project page. And what it'll show here in the middle is all the files that he wrote as he was creating the game. GitHub is a really convenient way to share code. It also tracks the version history of all the files as he added new features to the game. And it also allows projects to manage external contributors and have them work independently on features, and then kind of manage merging their stuff together as they work on different parts of the project. We're not going to get into all the complexity of the software Git that you would install on your computer to do all this like version management stuff and how it interacts with the website GitHub. We're just going to use GitHub to grab the latest code. So in the middle-ish of the page, there's a button called Code, and we just want to click Download Zip, which is going to get us the latest version. So I've actually already downloaded this. I'm going to cancel, but just hit save, and you won't have the 1 there. And then from my downloads, I'm going to open up that Ardinia zip. And right now it's showing me the files inside of a zip archive, so I need to extract them into a regular folder. And where I want to extract them, when you install the Arduino IDE, it's going to give you a folder called Arduino in your My Documents. So I want to go to Arduino, select that, and that's where I want to extract this archive. And one thing that GitHub did is it added this -master to the end of the project name when it named the folder and downloaded it. We're going to want to strip that out because it's going to make the Arduino IDE just a little bit unhappy. So to get rid of that, Windows automatically opens up where you ended up. So here's the one I did previously. I'm just going to remove that. Delete this. Yep. And then I just want to take this one that has master, and I want to just delete dash master and just leave the name Arduino. Now, back in the Arduino IDE, I can just go to File, Open, and it's going to open that Arduino folder automatically, go into Arduino, and now you're looking for an INO file, which is the main source file that starts the game. And you can just double click on that. And again, it opens a new window so you can manage multiple projects at once. So from here, we have some code. It has setup, it has loop. This is actually really short because he's bringing in code from other files. But this looks similar to what we uploaded last time. So now if I go and I say I want to upload it to my Arduino, and I click the upload button, it's going to give an error at first. It's going to say Arduboy H, no such file or directory. So up here on line 2, it says arduboy.h, include Arduboy. So very often when you're writing software, you start out with someone else's software and then you add stuff to it. So the people that made the Arduboy hardware, they also released a software library to make it easy to write games for the platform. So you need to install that library if you want to compile this game. So inside of Tools, there is a link for Manage Libraries, and I had it open, but I'll just reopen it. When you go to Manage Libraries, it gives you this little manager, and you can look for Arduboy 2 and install that. And it'll just take a second. And then you also have this thing, Arduboy Play Tune. So someone else wrote a library to make it easier to play music. So I've also installed that. I'm not going to remove it, but you can just install those two things. And then you can click Upload again, and it'll compile it. And it'll take a second. There's a lot of cool stuff in the game. But it'll move the bar along, and pretty quickly it'll start uploading something to the Arduino. Little blinky thing, it's uploading something. Now we got here, okay, we can kind of see the game, but there's also this glitch on the screen. So this is the state that I got stuck in for a couple of hours last week, and I didn't know how to fix it. I thought maybe the wiring was wrong. I actually ended up figuring out it was a software problem with help from the community, and so that's part of the reason why I'm making this video. So we're going to go ahead and fix that now. So the way that you want to fix that is go back to your web browser and look up Arduboy Homemade on GitHub. And you want to go to this page from Mr. Blinky. He created this package for the Arduino IDE that makes it easy to upload these games to your own homemade setup like this. So to install the package, he says he has his own install instructions if you just kind of scroll down a little bit. And he says click Control comma inside of the Arduino IDE, Control comma. It'll bring up this menu, and then he says copy and paste this URL into the additional board manager's URLs text box, and then click OK. So you're just going to want to paste that URL here and click OK. And then from there, oh, here he just shows that screenshot. This is an older version, but you just paste it into that place in the Preferences menu. Now you can go to Tools, Boards, Board Manager, Tools, Boards, Boards Manager, and you want to type in Arduboy Homemade, and it'll give you, so in this case, it's a particular plugin for the Arduino IDE to upload to specific boards. So you're going to want to click Install on this, and then, as he explains, you now have additional options in the Tools menu. So now if you go to Tools and you go to Board, that package is going to add these two options for Arduino AVR boards and Homemade package. So from here you can select a Homemade Arduboy, because that's what you're creating here. And then you open the Tools menu again, And now you have new options to select a port. You're going to want to make sure that this is always selected. Sometimes it gets unselected. And then you need to select a few options down here. So depending on what board you buy, there's the original organization Arduino that creates several different boards that are compatible. The Leonardo and the Micro are the primary ones that are good for this from Arduino themselves. There's another popular one called a Pro Micro that was actually never made by the main Arduino organization. It was initially released by a third party, and now a whole bunch of third-party companies all create clones of that board. So that's a popular one. It's a little bit cheaper than this. You can save a couple of bucks. So I need to pick the Arduino Genuine Micro. And then you can leave a lot of these at their defaults. I picked this Kathy thing. I think it's a newer kind of starting sequence. You can turn the brightness up and down. I picked Optimized Core. I assume it would just run a little bit smoother. Now, the next important thing is picking a display. So I bought this display from Micro Center, and it seemed to be the right thing. It had the right aspect ratio of 128 pixels by 64 pixels, but there's like no information on the back here. It's just like monochrome blue pixels. It doesn't have like a number that clearly told me what kind of screen this is, and I didn't realize that there are different kinds. So I ended up having to look this up on the Micro Center website, and after kind of going to the technical specs, I did eventually get to something that told me this number right here, this SH1106. So for whatever board, for whatever screen you buy, you're just going to have to kind of dig through the technical information that they provide. Either maybe your package will have a little bit more, you might have to look it up online. But you're going to want to look for which of these numbers matches your screen. So SH1106 is apparently a pretty popular screen, but it is not the screen that comes in the official Arduboy. So this is actually one of the main reasons why we have to have this alternative process, because if you just upload it normally, it's going to assume it's uploading to the official Arduboy, and then the screen's going to be incompatible. So we need to select the correct screen here, and now in this dropdown, you don't want to go back. Okay, this is good. So you want to be homemade Arduboy on the correct port, and now we can go ahead and upload. And it's compiling again, and there's lots of cool stuff in the game, so it takes a second. Okay, so now it's uploading, and it's running the game, and we still have a glitchy screen. This actually is just kind of a little thing. I haven't totally figured out why I need to do this. So if I go back to the homemade Arduboy package, it says right here, includes all the Arduboy libraries with support for alternate displays and wiring. So because it says that it includes the libraries, I believe what I've had to do to fix this is I just had to go into the library manager again and look up Arduboy 2. And I've had to remove this installation of the library. And so it'll still have access to Arduboy 2 kind of inside of that package that we installed. So from there, I'm going to make sure that my board is selected. Although here, this is an important thing. So now it just says Arduino Micro and COM8, and this is going to undo the thing that we just did. So sometimes when the board gets disconnected, you need to go back in here and select a board inside of the homemade package. You need to select homemade Arduboy again. And it does appear to save all of your options, so I still have Genuine Micro and my 1106 down here. So this is still right. And now it says homemade Arduboy. So now I can click upload. And again, it's compiling. And finally, after this upload, it should be restarting to run the software again. And now we have the title screen of our game, no glitchy screen. So now we're ready for the next part of the project. Okay, now let's add some buttons so we can control the game. When you're connecting buttons like this to a breadboard, it's important to realize that there's kind of a broad direction of the 4 connections, and then there's a thin direction, we're going to want to connect this into the breadboard like this, where the broad side will show off the top. So we're going to construct a little D-pad over here where the left and right buttons are going to span across this middle line of the breadboard. And then the up and down will just sit above and below that middle line, with all of the buttons being stuck in that same direction I was describing. Okay, so now to wire these, there's 4 connections on the bottom, but you actually only need to connect 2 wires for each button. And all you have to do is connect one side of the button to ground for all 4 of the pins. So I'm just going to wire the left side of each of the buttons to ground. And you can wire to the ground on the top or the bottom. So I'll just do the left side on all of them. One last one, left side of this button. To ground. Okay. Then we just need to hook up each of the other side of the buttons to their corresponding place on the Arduino where it's going to read the signal for that button. So the up button is going to go to A0 down here. A0. Then the right button goes to A1. The down button goes to A2. And the left button goes to A3. Oh, actually no, these 2 are flipped. The left goes to A3, the down goes to A4. So this actually goes to A4. Down goes to A4, left goes to A3. Okay. Then over on the other side, we're going to install an A and a B button. So over on the far side, we're going to put this straddled across the midline again. And then I'm going to cheat a little bit, pry up the screen just to fit one button, just slightly overlapping with the screen, sitting next to it, because these do span across 3 slots. So you can fit it in just like that. Oh, actually, I probably want to have that sitting better. One slot there. So it overlaps just a tiny bit with the screen. So same procedure, we just need to hook one side to ground. One side to ground. And then we need to just hook up the other side to the corresponding pins for A and B, which are digital pin 7 and 8. So we can hook that up to pin 7. And the other one up to pin 8. And that should be all of the buttons that we need. So we should be able to put power back on. And there's our screen turning on. And now we can navigate our menu and click buttons. And we're back inside the game. Die. Die, little monsters. Alright, and one final addition we can make is attaching a basic little speaker buzzer thing. And we're running out of space on the board, but we can set that down, and then that just needs to connect to the last pin on the bottom of the Arduino. On the negative side. Yep. There. It's a little bit hard to see where the pins are for this, but they are 2 away. Just kind of see where those are. You might have to bend the pins a little bit to get them to fit right. And then the last thing, the left side, the positive side of that buzzer goes to digital 5 between those two over there. Then you turn it on. And inside the menu, there's a little SFX for sound effects to turn those on and off. Turn on sound effects, continue, and now I get sound effects for sword and boomerang. Thanks for watching. Can't wait to see what you make.